The Say Something podcast is brought to you by amomentwithmorris.com and blackblueprints.com. That's blackblueprints with a Z.com. I'm Jermaine Morris here with the one and only Mr. Barry Accius.
Peace and love, family.
Bringing you the Say Something podcast.
Say something, say something, say something.
Where we get together and talk about everything going on out here in these streets.
What's going on in these cocoa streets?
Yeah, stuff that we, as in myself and Barry, feel that not only us, but everybody should be saying something about.
Yes.
Everything going on out here in the traffic as we bring in episode 31.
Man, episode 31, and I'm happy to say that you're here alive because the other day, bro, what was going on, man? You jumping out of airplanes on me now? What's going on?
Got my skydive on.
So as a black man, with all the things we got to worry about on the ground, on this planet that they claim is flat, right?
Yeah.
You decided to jump up in the sky and fall where you may be.
Yeah.
With a parachute, of course.
Yeah.
And which one did you go to?
Which
skydive spot?
A spot in Lodi, California.
The same one that about hella people died over.
Somebody died maybe a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So someone died a couple weeks ago and you decided to go try your luck.
Somebody died on Highway 80. Someone died on the I-5. Somebody died. My thing is that.
But you are trying to die.
No. I'm not trying to die.
What the hell do you call that? You jumped out the freaking, plane?
My
leap
belief,
to the sky?
Yeah, my belief system is that I have no desire to die. I have no plans on dying anytime soon. But
hanging out with me is kind of risky.
But I'm not afraid to live.
Okay.
So I'm the type of dude, like, I traveled and I went to other countries by myself. They're like, man, do you know the language? Kinda.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody? No. What are you gonna do? I'll figure it out when I get there. Like, I don't have those fears associated with dying.
Yeah.
So and also the way that my brain kind of works, and I think you think it's optimism when we talk about things or people, is that I kind of live in a creative and intellectual space of possibility. So, like, I don't like to have walls around the way that I think. And so sometimes I notice that starts to happen. So I do brand new things, which opens up new perspectives and new ways to do things. I think some people probably would say the same thing. Drug addicts would probably say the same thing, that they expand their mind with drugs. I just try to do it with life experiences. Like, I just get around different people and do different stuff. And so,
like skydiving.
Skydiving's one. It's just,
don't ever call me about that. And if you do it again, make sure that I'm on the policy.
Yeah, it's not even like, well, my brother's is the beneficiary.
I'm sure you got more than one.
Yeah, but it's not one of them. Like I said, I ain't gonna be out there every weekend. It's nothing like a brand new hobby, but it's one of those things that you can check it off the list.
Yeah, well, see, some people like to do it every other weekend, and I think that's when they end up dying.
Yeah. Okay, so the people out there, just brief, the jumpers, they jump 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day.
That's crazy.
4 or 5 times a week. So there's dudes out there who go up with
like
somebody.
That's their lifestyle.
Yeah, they jump. They're down for a couple hours, do something, go up with the next plane, jump again, go up. Like they're.
And I understand living life, and I understand the rush of it. But there's certain things that don't give me that rush that I need. I can get a rush in other ways.
Yeah, see, I'm not an adrenaline junkie, so it's not like. So I was probably the calmest dude that they've ever probably seen in the plane. Like, even going up there, like, are you anxious? Are you nervous? I'm not an anxious or nervous person.
So your heart wasn't beating at all?
Nah. So
you was already prepared to die?
No. Well, maybe. So I'm not going to say prepared to die as in willing to.
So basically, we're on 31.
Yeah.
Our last podcast together could have been 30. And I would have had to do the podcast by myself saying, sorry, folks.
Possibly. But that could have happened on the drive home. That could have happened, So, yeah,
it could have, but you're pushing towards that, man. Skydiving, bro. They just got someone that died last week, bro.
It happens. I don't have those. I just don't live in that fearful space. I just, I just don't.
You're better than me.
Nah, man, it's just, I think that it's for me. So I don't ever say that, however I get through stuff is what everybody should do. I like to have, like I said, open mind and being open to possibilities and seeing different angles for things. And for that particular event, I wasn't nervous on the ground. Like, it was nothing to be fearful of on the ground. And when you get on the plane, you're still in a plane.
Yeah.
There was a Will Smith video I saw a few months back, and it was talking about it, and it was funny. He said when you skydive, he said it's the first time you realize you've ever been on a plane and the doors open.
Yeah.
And that stuck in my head too. It's the first time I've ever on a plane. All of a sudden the door is open while you're on the plane. But from the whole process of when you get ready to go to when you're out there, it's like 5 seconds. So like you're sitting there, like you're just sitting there talking, then all of a sudden you're up. You don't have time to be nervous or fearful, because from the time it's like you're up, you're moving to the door, you move to the door, duck your head, grab it, and you're out the door.
And then you pull the little cord.
So you jump, you go out, and you hit the free fall. Free fall is just like you're just flying, like just mass wind blowing at your face. I saw little pictures, all little skin pulling my head back like a Shar-Pei. A little extra skin in the air was blowing it all the way back of my head. And you're just flying fast, and it's just high wind. Then you pull the parachute, and it's just dead silence. Because the way sound, it bounces off of things. There's nothing to bounce it off of. So it is probably the quietest you've ever heard in your life. So it is just complete silence, complete calm. And you're just chilling.
So are you jumping by yourself, or there's someone jumping?
So for me, it was somebody else.
Okay, so an instructor is jumping with you just in case you don't pull.
Yeah, so in the beginning, because after you jump, a few times you can jump by yourself. This was my first time jumping like this. So I was talking to the dude as calmly as I'm talking to you. Like, it was so quiet. We just had a conversation.
While you're going down.
Yeah, and so then they give you the cord so you can control. So he's like, okay, this is how you do it. So you pull to the right, and you start going to the right. The harder you pull, the faster you go. Like, you get control of flying. So it was like you get your Superman on. Like, you just pull it and you get,
And that's the rush that people get.
It was a cool experience.
I can fly.
It was a cool experience.
So you're telling everybody, all the listeners right now, go ahead and skydive at least one time.
If you want to. I'm
telling you, don't do it, y'all.
I ain't telling nobody to do it. I'm saying for me, it was a cool experience. And really, I actually went to support a friend. That's the reason why I went. It wasn't like something I randomly came up with.
I understand supporting a friend with the cancer, but skydiving, no.
Hey, it got me. It was a nice little
support a friend. They were doing poetry, skydiving. No.
I went and then went about the whole experience from start to finish, from showing up to on my way home was an hour. So after, it was knocked out in my morning, and then met up with y'all at the African market.
And now you're here.
And I'm here. So I mean, it's
wow.
Hey, gotta do stuff sometime.
You are my idol.
Gotta do stuff sometime, man.
You gotta do stuff sometimes, but you don't gotta do that. A night in Vegas is enough skydiving for me.
I swear, if people really looked at what my life is, this is by far not the pace car. Like, this is not. I live my life how I do it.
Okay,
but I think that's important. That we have to. That I think that we don't do enough. I think that we like to put people in boxes for how we think they're supposed to be, and then when they do something that's outside of the box that we think they should be doing, then we all of a sudden either get in our feelings about it, or our image is broken. If anybody knew me, like my friends that have known me, I've had the same like best friends since like the 8th grade. So like the ones that know me know that this isn't too crazy to hear about me doing.
Yeah. People
who don't, this is like so left field. And I think that we don't have that type of same thought process to our quote unquote heroes. People that we look up to. Started at home. Maybe dad. Dad is dad until we find out dad is a man. And he's got some things about him.
Got a side piece.
That shatters the mold of the superhero that's dad.
Dad's an alcoholic.
MLK was a womanizer.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden.
Don't talk about that at all.
You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden our image gets shook. And I think it's important to say something about that. We have to remember that people are people outside of the people we see them as.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff going on out here in the news where people are starting to, the curtain gets pulled back a little bit about how people are just being themselves.
Yeah.
And that doesn't fit the mold that people think they are.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden they emotionally hell break loose.
Oh. Emotionally hell breaks loose for the people that were in worship.
Yeah, their image gets shook.
But for them, I think that they just have to weather the storm depending on what decision they made.
Yeah, so so one thing that was a brother that we both have had opportunity to meet and speak to was one brother, Dr. Umar.
The brother.
Brother Dr. Umar. Dr. Umar Johnson. He was on the Roland Martin, the News One show. And he was kind of, he was addressed about some of his views when he did the Breakfast Club interview with Charlemagne and Angela Yee and DJ Envy, where he was addressing his views on interracial marriages, about, you know, family structure, community stuff, whatever. So he was kind of brought up about some particular points. And that interview it wasn't even an interview. So if you haven't seen it on YouTube, it was really an ambush. You know, the Roland Martin interview, not the Breakfast Club interview.
Roll into that. All right.
That's what I'm saying. So the Breakfast Club interview was just an interview. And so
then after that,
the Roland Martin interview was addressing the Breakfast Club interview. And so something that Umar had said was, you know, if you're a black man and you're married to a non-black woman, you have a hard time earning my respect.
So what do you think about that? Let's start with that. What do you think about that? How you feel about that?
So first and foremost is, to me, that's 1,000% fine for him, because he didn't say, he said, I don't care how much work you do, and I'll acknowledge the work you do. He said, just personally, you have an issue getting my respect if you're married to a non-black woman.
Okay, but let me throw this. So you have an issue with getting full respect for dating a
No. I'm saying I don't have an issue with him saying
No, I'm saying, but he's saying.
Yes. He
has an issue.
Yeah.
So then, should we take issue that he lied about dating a stripper?
No. So this is what I was saying is, so if he said, this man, if he was right here sitting across from me, this man is saying, I have an issue. You don't have an issue getting my full respect because you married an Asian woman or a Hispanic woman or a white woman or whatever. Then that's all. This man has an issue. That's all it is. This particular dude, I may not get the full respect from him. Why would that hurt my feelings or my spirit or my soul? It wouldn't. It would just simply be, this dude would have an issue. I could do all the work in the streets, work with the kids, the elderly, work systemic stuff in the school system, all that, and he's going to look at me sideways because I have a non-black wife. That's all that is. I'm not changing who I am or what I do or what I'm about. That's just simply one dude's opinion.
But do you really think that it affects the work that you do? If you're doing the work that you say you're doing, that by not having a black wife or a black woman having a black man, that is
so
counter-effective?
So I'll start specifically with me, as before we talk big picture. So for me, I'm not married. So
you gonna date whoever you want?
No. So realistically, it wouldn't affect anything I'm doing now one way or the other, because I haven't picked a wife out of any group of women. Yeah. So if you're going to sit there and say, oh, well, you don't have a black wife, so you're not committed to helping kids or helping the community, or I haven't chosen any wife. So that to me would be an example of why that wouldn't matter. Now, if my rhetoric was black men need to only be with black women, then I chose a non-black wife, then that's a completely different conversation. That still wouldn't have anything to do with the work I was doing. That would have to do with the stand that I take if I'm about what I say I'm about, you know, and being consistent. Yeah. So for him to say, you got to issue getting my respect regardless of how much work you do in the streets. And Roland Martin's whole campaign is he kept trying to list prominent black male figures who had non-black wives. Well, what about Harry Belafonte? What about such and such and such and such? What about such and such? And he kept trying to get Umar to change his stance on who he respects. Exactly. And I'm like, that's irrelevant. If dude said I don't fully respect the dude who doesn't have a black wife, leave it at that.
Well, I think that the whole I don't respect the dude because he has a black he's a black man and has a white wife, or vice versa, I think to me it's just, you know, doesn't really sink in, you know. Yeah. In the sense of it, I understand, like I said, working with the brother in different areas of, you know, vending and hearing them, and he coming to Sacramento and building with the brother. I mean, the brother's a solid brother on content of what I've asked things with him. Personally, I don't really know him on that level, just the building part that we've had. So I give respect too. But I just think that it's kind of like a contradiction in senses of, okay, well, you don't respect the man that has the white woman, but then at the same time, you know, you have the stripper. And then you try to create this idea that the stripper was trying to set you up. And she might have been. Yeah. But in the same, let's look at it how we look at it in a perspective. you're going around saying that you're abstinent, you don't have sex, you don't do that, but then you're turning around.
No. I'm keep going. I wouldn't.
And then you're turning around, and then you're saying, well, oh, here's the stripper that got me on blast. She's lying. Yeah, I did have sex. Well, you didn't even really deal with the issue. You created this idea that it's a government agent. You created this idea like she was to blame.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing to me is like, bruh, first of all, by how you move and how I see you, you don't have to tell me nothing. I already know with all these bad black women that are falling all over you, you hit something. All right. Let's be men and let's man be man. Secondly, even if you don't have to speak upon your business. You went out your way to sit there and create this perfect facade. That's my issue. So when you go off and you say that you particularly don't respect people, all clear, the whole interview was ambush style, no doubt. But I think sometimes you just have to just basically kind of use those moments and say, that's what they do. Because in a sense, in a clear mind, you look at Frederick Douglass, a guy that he holds reveres, and he says is his actual relative, right?
Yeah.
That he, of course, had a black wife and then had a white wife.
Yeah.
But you hold him in such revere, and it doesn't sound like you have lack of respect for this man. It seems like you have a lot of respect for this man, right?
Yeah.
So when you say these kind of things, I do understand the point of black men and black women going out, jumping in the pond and pool of other cultures. It does not help the black family at all. So I am more or less for black unity between black men and women.
Yeah.
And I say black men and women. Clearly, listen, black men and women. So I don't want anyone to get it confused because the other things, I think that's also a problem at sense well. And people probably be upset with me by saying that, but I just look at it as that's problematic. I just sometimes think that some of these Negroes, when they get so high up at a mantle, that so many people hold on to their words like it is the Bible, like it is gossip. The gospel, excuse me. And we sometimes forget, like, yo, you're listening to a person that is not perfect. You're listening to a person that has failures and has faults. And at times could come off a little bit more fraudulent or arrogant. Not saying that he is, but
I get
these particulars, right? So sometimes I think that hard stance, it almost sets yourself up for exactly what Roland did. It was almost kind of like an easy ambush. You could have easily moved and avoided that question to go to something else and really get to the meat and potatoes of what we really need to talk about.
I get that. And so with Umar, 100% correct in the sense he never had to address his bedroom activity.
Never.
He never had to come out and say I'm abstinent or I'm whatever.
It.
Yeah, no, nobody does.
I really don't, because I know with like social media, people want to see. I give you what you need, not what you want.
Yeah. So
I'm giving you exactly what you need, not what you want. You're going to see imagery of great fatherhood, of mentorship, but I'm not going to go ahead and scale out all my different relationships and post up about this. I'm not doing that.
Which is why that part wasn't necessary. And when it came to, I think the two part for the why the Roland issue was bad is so let's just say, so number one, if you're not familiar with Dr. Umar Johnson, his big platform mainly is addressing the special education fraudulent system that goes through our school system, about the misdiagnosis of special education. Because
which my brother is on point about.
Yeah, so if your child is diagnosed to be ADD, ADHD, and put in special education, the school actually gets more money per student per special ed than they do quote unquote regular students. And so there's some behavioral issues or whatever. If the child has doesn't sit still, maybe he's having some emotional issues or responses due to stuff at home, or maybe just his diet, he's hopped up on sugar and caffeine all day and has an issue sitting still, they'll say that he's got behavioral issues, label him ADHD, put him in special education,
and get that money.
Yes. And once you get that label, a special education flag is like a felony to an adult. Even if you change schools, put your kid in a different district, once he gets that label follows him everywhere. And when you go to a new school, the school doesn't want to take them out of special education because they get the same financial come up that the previous school got. So if you're like, I'm gonna move him out of this school, I'm gonna put him in a different district. As soon as that little special education felony follows him, they're gonna suggest that they keep him in special ed so they can get more money. Dr. Umar really addresses and goes into that, the misdiagnosis for prescription medication for kids, the necessity for black parent households, black man, black woman together. These are the things that he really stands on and that he champions. So my thing is that when people wanted to pick him apart for his views on interracial marriage, or even his views on having 2 baby mamas that he didn't marry, I look at, show me the information that he presents that is wrong. So people say, well, they question his actually being a doctor. They question what he's doing with the money for his school.
And last time I remember, Malcolm X wasn't a doctor and didn't have a degree.
Yeah, so they question all these things about him. I simply start with is he's addressing the issue of the preschool to prison pipeline, how our kids are being improperly educated in the school system, how they're being misdiagnosed and put on medication, how parents are getting railroaded and giving them information on using advocates to make sure that their kids aren't just getting ran through the system. I don't care who he sleeps with. He's addressing, the significance in his mind that black men and black women need to love each other and be together and build within their community. I don't care who he sleeps with. Like, show me the information. Now, let's just say he's being fraudulent with the money he's getting for his school. Yeah. Let's just say that he's creeping with a white girl in the cuts. Let's just say he's doing all these things that are character flaws. None of the information that he is presenting in these. Show me the information where it's flawed. Now, that's where I care.
Here's the only problem that I have with when Negroes get to this position, and I'll always take this stance on it. I have no problem with Negroes having worlds that we don't need to know about.
Yeah.
But don't present a world that you're trying to front on that ain't you. Yeah. Right? Be who you are as you advertise it. You know what I'm saying? If you're advertising this, that's what I want you to be.
Yeah.
That's why I don't go eat at fast foods. That's not what I'm going to get. You're advertising something that's faulty. Yeah. That's not going to be the burger that I'm going to consume and buy, right? Okay. When you're at a fancy restaurant, like let's say Ruth Chris, they advertise this is probably going to be the best steak and this is the amount of money that you're going to get. And when you get that damn steak,
that's what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah. You understand. Okay, like I get what I'm paying for. I understand. As advertised. So this is the only problem that I have. It's not saying the fact that we don't all have character flaws. When you create this imagery that I am all God, because see the thing about it, the concept of what people believe in is people want to believe that you're perfect, and the fact that people want to believe that you are better than them.
Yeah.
So that makes it easier for someone to buy in. Because you're doing something greater than whatever I think I could do. Where you're speaking with these words that I don't even know how to pronounce or even know the definition of, right?
Yeah.
Where you're this great guy that has all of these followers that's doing as you say. I can't do that, so I'm going to follow you. I don't participate in that.
Yeah.
If I see fuckery, I see fuckery. If it's bullshit, it's bullshit. I am who I am. I say I'm a real model, not a role model. I say role models play role. Look at Tiger Woods, right?
Yeah.
I'm a person that I have failure, I have fault, I have insecurities. I am not perfect. I'm lame on certain things, and I'm very square on certain things. Never been a sucker, but I've had about 5 good sucker moments in my life.
Yeah.
When you start trying to create this image where you know how shallow some Negroes are. You know the mind control that we've been under black folks and how we gravitate to just good words, not action, but good words.
Yeah.
Because it's been the train wreck of black America. The good words from the politician, the good words from the preacher, the good words from the boyfriend, the good words from the school teacher, right?
Yeah.
The good words from the coach. We've been ordained by that, and we've been limited on the effects of action. Now, the wordplay on things that he's talked about, awesome. But I think he starts losing it when you start trying to create this image that you really aren't. And that image is, well, no, I don't have sex with black women. Okay, well, I don't have respect for these people that do that. Like, what does it matter? I don't care about that.
Yeah.
Focus on that. And it comes because once the celebrity starts coming in with black people, sometimes we start losing ourselves. We get more attention. And then the funniest part is like when he was outing out Sarah Seti. And then the whole cell phone thing. When he was going, the cell phone rang, and he's talking, but guess what? There was nobody there, and it rang while he was talking. It's those kind of moments where you got to look at yourself and you be like, bro, you didn't even have to do that. Like it's
a lot of extra.
So when you start creating this extra, I start looking at your character a little bit different, and I start having to question things. And then with other things that I kind of look when I've conversated with certain individuals, I'm not saying this one individual that we're talking about particularly, but certain individuals, you start seeing things, you start hearing things, and you start, channeling in on more directly of what they say, and then looking at actually what they're doing from what they said to you.
Yeah.
It all starts becoming a wave to where now people want to attack you, because once you have the ears and the hearts, and when folks are so just in awe of you, people are going to challenge that. And the simple fact that you got these elite Negroes like Roland Martin, come on. He now becomes obsolete because we're now channeling to more brothers that are more courageous, more bold, and non-fearing of white America and the backlash that you're going to get from it, right?
Yeah.
So he has to kind of find a way to fit in, because he's no longer going to be a part of what we say is our move forward. If you want to be a part of, well, we'll talk about immigration issues, but we won't talk about black issues, or I'll pick and choose a time when I'll talk about black issues, when we know that there should be no reason why black folks are talking about immigration unless it's talking about immigrations of our African brothers and sisters. We need to be focusing on gentrification. We need to be focused on economics. We need to focus on the school system. We need to focus on blacker issues. So I get that. The one thing I don't understand, and one thing I hated about the whole piece from both sides, was the simple fact that on national TV, you had a black man who basically set up another black man to be ambushed by at least two coons that have no clue, no idea about what's going on, or what they believe is going on is only in the household or in that little small percentage of the people that they deal with, not black people.
I think that's where that part is where most of the people had the issue. It wasn't necessarily that Umar got ambushed on a news show, is that he got ambushed on a black news show.
And it's okay, because I think it's okay, and I think a lot of times what we have to understand, critiquing and maybe asking questions is okay. That's not saying I don't like you. We have to get over that. Yeah. If I'm asking you a question that I feel like I need to know, or I'm asking you, I remember having a conversation with Boyce Watkins, and I remember when I tried, we got in here in Sacramento, of course, how I was doing some negotiations. They said a number that I thought was ridiculous, and I sat there and asked them. I said, Boyce, what's up with this price, bro? What are y'all trying to do? I mean, come on now. Like, how am I supposed to do economics and eat if I'm flying you out, got to cash you out? Where am I going to get this? And then he kind of broke it down, and I said, I still kind of see it a little bit differently, but I understand.
Yeah.
But get that on the back end of people that can afford it. Don't get it on the front end of people that are trying to get some understanding and educate our people that are lost.
I think I said with him, it wasn't a critique issue with that particular interview. And I get what you're saying about Dr. Boyce Watkins. And then we can move on. That whole Roland thing, it wasn't necessarily a critique issue, because if that was the case, it would have been a question. The question was answered, and it would have went to the next question.
Yeah, it was ambush.
It was, I asked you a question. You answered the question I asked you. So I'm going to ask you the same question again, slightly differently, and slightly differently, and slightly differently, to get you to change the answer that you keep giving me. At that point,
and contradict yourself.
Yeah, well, at that point, you don't want to have a dialogue or an understanding. Right. That's just simply, I'm trying to impose my opinion or my view on you to change what you're saying to me. That is not a dialogue. That's not good journalism in the sense of trying to uplift each other and understand each other. But that's because there are some people that they were, because I've seen some of the responses in comments to that interview, and there are some people who were hung up on the idea of, he was this and that, referring to Umar about his character flaws. And they're bringing him out to the light and this, that, whatever. If that was the case, then it would have been a conversation that was addressing, let's do the full breakdown on, when they address the school, if you're going to talk about the money. But who a man personally respects, or his personal opinion of another human being, that is completely separate, in my opinion, of work you're doing. Because you can go historically through some of the quote unquote greatest scholars and the people that we revere for the information they passed down. Maybe they were wartime generals, maybe they were scholars, maybe they were whatever. Well, if you look at, they were great at something, but if you start picking apart who they were as people, you'll find that they were human and had a bunch of flaws. So the folks that we look at, we revere Brother Malcolm, but when you look at his life in its totality, this was a person who was a Detroit Red, who was, a pimp, drug user, woman beater. He put his hands on chicks. So you could say, so you could say, well, he was this. Yeah, but we're talking about this particular work. Brother Martin, who is the quintessential go-to guy when they talk about integration, and that's the guy that could bring people together.
I have the dream. Do it like Martin, not like Malcolm.
Yeah, well, while he was out creeping on Coretta during their entire marriage.
Yeah, white girls too.
Yeah, so if you look at, Martin, he was sleeping around on his wife all the time. He just had a woman that when she was pressed by the CIA, they're like, we're going to put all his infidelities on the streets. And in the news, she said, go ahead, because the struggle is greater than my marriage. Yeah. And they had no leverage to get her to give him up.
Because had that happened,
all the wind would have came out themselves. But when they realize they're going to try to move the people, if they're starting with his wife, look, his husband do this, that, and the third, yeah.
She's standing by her man like Bill Cosby's wife.
Yeah, and she's just like, you're not. I'm not going to be the instrument used to dismantle the work or flaw from the work that he was doing. And I think that that's something that we don't do.
Not at all.
Even if you take Bill Cosby, addressing Camille. Bill Cosby, if what's being accused of him is true, and we're just for the sake of discussion say it's true, that is a horrible and deplorable behavior done by a human being on this planet. Am I questioning him being a good man? No. But when I look at the 9 figures that was dedicated and given to HBCUs, all the black people that were inspired to go to college and get advanced degrees, the push for what that show did of showing the best representation of a successful, within this system, black family and something to aspire to, I don't negate the work. Yeah. I don't sit there and say, oh, the Cosby Show is trash and the image is garbage because of this man's shortcomings. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I can separate the person from the I can compartmentalize.
But I don't see that's the thing about it. I don't buy in to the character that they present, right?
Yeah.
I can still watch the Cosby Show because he's playing a character.
Yeah.
Right?
That means the work.
The work is the work. But at the same time, what he has represented and what I've seen, what I've heard, what I've felt with some of the impact, you give money, but then you slap us in the face. I'm not into that. I'm not into anybody that thinks you can give me hush money. I'm not into anybody and the political people do it all the time.
Yeah.
They will donate $100,000 to the Boys and Girls Club in the same place that they're helping gentrify. You know what I'm saying? I'm not into that part.
Yeah.
Because it's a very slippery slope, and I think that what we find ourselves as black folk, that we don't ever want to look deeper when someone is accused, when someone may be faulty. It's like we have this unseen loyalty that don't even want to check in and say, well, you do know there are 60 women that accuse him of rape, and guess what? You think that all of these 60 women are all trying to set up Bill? Nah, Bill wouldn't do that. That's the white man setting a bill. Sometimes you got to get off the mantle and say, stop looking at the Huxtable. Look at Bill Cosby as the man, not the guy that played the Mr. Huxtable or whatever the hell his name was on the Cosby Show.
Yeah, I disagree with that because I think we look for flaws in people. I don't think that there's anybody that we've ever hoisted up that we didn't start looking for what. Now that may not be the end all be all, that we don't mess with them anymore, but I can't think of anybody that we hoisted up that we didn't start looking for the.
I think that in the age of social media, I think that it's more profound. I probably will agree with that. But in those days, think about it. We just are now learning Michael Jordan and guys like Charles Barkley, how bad of gamblers they were. And everything about Michael, I wanted to be like. I wanted to fly. I wanted to drink Gatorade. I wanted to have my wristbands. I never even wanted to think a bad image. When Magic Johnson came on in 92 and said, or 93, 92, right? And said he had HIV, I was crushed as a kid. How the hell did you get HIV? Magic, I thought you had this wife. I thought you were just a good guy. The smile. Maybe you had a few tenderonis, but I thought that you were smarter than that. And there was one particular time you did not want those people that you idolized to ever have fault. Because again, it goes from the statement of they are doing something greater than self. Something greater and something I can imagine me climaxing to. So why would I want them to be down here with me as a common folk?
Okay.
Until I got older and I saw they are exactly who they are. Common folk with more zeros on their number.
I think, so maybe I preface it this way. Maybe I'm different because I remember growing up. And I think, okay, so this may be something to attest to. I had parents who consistently drilled in. Okay, so something my mom used to teach us all the time whenever we get mad at somebody. And she would say, don't hate the person, hate the things they do. And so as a kid, I remember being able to separate people from what you did was just a part, just a component, just a box, just a block in this whole big Lego building that is you. So even if I saw people who were doing great things, I could still say, okay, this is something they're doing, but that's not who they are.
Yeah.
So I can say that maybe how my experience growing up was different, because I remember the stories of Jordan in the 90s, the gambling and stuff, whatever. And then when Magic, the AIDS thing in Magic, I wasn't so offset because I knew who he was running with. Like back in the 90s, that's back when he was running with Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall.
Maybe you was watching more TV than me, but there was not that much exposure for these guys. There's pictures, but there wasn't the way you see it and hear it now. It's like on the second, by the second, on the dot.
No. I get that. That's why I'm saying I'm speaking for me, because I think maybe, because I think this is just saying something maybe to what the environment that my parents raised me in was really about separating people and really looking at individuals. But I do know for a fact that that's not the norm, because we get hung up on images of people all the time. And we don't even call them by their name. We call them by the character they play in the movie. Yeah. You know, we could... If I showed,
Sylvester Stallone, we call him Rocky.
We call him Rocky. Most people don't even know who Carl Weathers is, but they know Apollo Creed.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, we call him the Terminator.
Yeah. So I think a lot of times we get, we get hung up on what that image is. And I think where we're falling short, big picture, moving away from Dr. Umar, is that because this is a trend that's not one guy.
No.
That we're not separating people's rhetoric from the life they live to the work that they do.
Yeah.
Because another example that came up was the brother got roasted this week.
Your boy, Brother Polite.
Now, and I'll say this. I was first introduced to Brother Polite by way of Meta World Peace, a.k.a. Ron Artest.
Yeah.
And Artest was the Sacramento King here. And he was really promoting and speaking that this is his spiritual advisor.
Oh, so he was bringing him out this way.
He was bringing him up. So that's who Ron Artest is how I ever heard of Brother Polite. Okay. Now, I'm low end because I know I've seen, apparently he's written 1,001 books and all this literature. I wasn't privy to that. I was only heard of him by way of Ron. And so as I started to hear his speech, I got it. Yeah. He seemed learned, well-read. His breakdown and diet of what you consume, not only your food you eat, but the information you take in, the TV programs you watch, the music you listen to. Yeah, so to me, I'm like, this is an example of, I listened to the information that was presented. I saw a few of his interviews. He did a Breakfast Club interview also, a Vlad TV interview, a couple of those. And I was like, okay, I take the information for what it is.
He's one of the major hitters out there. Right?
And I was just like, okay, and I moved on. Brother Polite is not in my quick Rolodex when I start thinking of names. He doesn't pop up like that. But I did, however, see him pop up this week.
With young Becky?
Yeah, got him a little blonde hair. Becky with the good hair.
Yeah, but let's not say, from what we know from the knowledge, that's just a friend.
I don't know who she is, but I'm only going off of the reports that I saw in the roasting. Because I know he's got 4 wives.
Yeah, he has 4 wives.
He believes in polygamy.
Yeah.
For folks who don't know. Yeah, he's got four black wives.
I'm not knocking that at all.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a later show.
Yeah.
But now, it's not necessarily a girl that he's sleeping with, allegedly.
Okay.
Right? But just being a man, you're going to have some real good discipline. Especially, and I don't want to ever hear black women argue the fact that other women of other cultures give it up faster, because I've had plenty of black women that I've met in 2.5 seconds and it went down in the car and the back end.
Misnomer,
whatever, right? But the fact that you now, with brothers, a lot of the times as well, when you're not known, it's easier, right? It's easier to move. People are not paying attention. But then when you start getting known, your dollars start, adding up, doubling, tripling. Now you become a spokesperson for like a community.
Yeah.
Here, the conscious community, right? Now, once you become this spokesperson, you have other spokespersons, so it's almost kind of like a Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. This is Magic Johnson here and it's Larry Bird. We're trying to fight for supremacy in this league, right?
We the face of the franchise.
Yes, we want to be the ones. That's why LeBron James had a big issue with Curry. It's like, whoa, how many times are you going to throw me off like I'm still not the guy?
Yeah.
Hence the reason why they won 2016, because it was like, this is my legacy, not just a championship at this particular time for Cleveland. Now, Polite has gotten to a level where he has hit superstardom, I would say, in the conscious community, where not only the picture with Becky has raised some eyebrows, but just behavior, dressed, him being a person that is a conscious and more in tuned about white supremacy, but yet still you have floor seats at front of the Lakers. Now, here's the thing. I don't ever want to mix conscious with being broke, because I think that's what some people feel.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to drink a coconut milk and have my spa with shea butters and all these incense burning and walk around with no shoes and say I'm conscious, I'm one with the earth. I believe in we all should get some of the finer things in life, but to a certain extent, especially if we know the scale of. When we are dealing with communities in the black community that have so many rural areas, and you're putting yourself as a black leader that's saying that I and others have to work on these areas where they're being underdeveloped. When you show up, right, at floor seat tickets for a prominent team, this is not the Philadelphia 76ers, Minnesota Timberwolves. We're talking about the Lakers. This is prime time. This is Jack Nicholson. This is Whoopi Goldberg. This is, on and on. You can name the people that have sit. These are big time players. Hear this Negro, internet superstar, black conscious brother, right here. And then now, from the rhetoric that you use about how the black woman is God, and everything else outside is a devil, and you're really speaking a lot of white hatred. And my thing is, when I put up stuff about white folks, I have never said I hated white folks.
Yeah.
I dislike white privilege and I hate white supremacy. If you fall into those categories as a white person, then hey, it is what it is. But if you don't understand your history and knowing that you have gotten a certain privilege, that you have been given a certain boost over many cultures, especially black, if you don't get the frustration of black people because we created a country and got no compensation for it, and still every time we bring up reparations or we bring up enslavement of our people, we get looked at with a side eye, and someone tells you, get over it, stop complaining. That's my problem. Even though I understand the trickery, I judge people on people. That's what I do. I judge people on how they're going to move. I am aware, though, of cultures and how they interact, right?
Okay.
I definitely am race first, but everybody else is race first. The problem is when we as black folks stated, now going back to polite, when you're speaking this rhetoric, preaching this kind of thing, you've built up your base of individuals who will die because of your lectures, your intellectual prowess. Now you turn around and contradict.
Now you get caught with Becky.
And have this picture, whether you got caught with Becky or whether you did it as an experiment. There's 2-3 pictures out there.
Yeah, that's what I saw. A few pictures.
Yes, not of you with her. So now,
same girl.
Now, okay, this is a good friend, or you're fucking her. Which one? But now, if it's a good friend, you're trying to, because you're very intellectual and you know how the Negro mind works. And at the end of the day, some Negroes can be child molesters. Certain niggas will still rock with them.
Yeah.
Don't understand it, but that's just how Negroes work.
Yeah.
You're now trying to say, well, this woman loves me for my blackness, and kind of throwing shade to black women that is saying, well, you know, she's, hold on a second, she's going to
interrupt you. It's the F. He's saying that this is his woman.
No. He's saying this woman as this white woman right here. Yeah. This Becky. Not saying his woman per se.
No. Is he saying she is his woman?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Not saying that, but just saying that how she, because she's also wore like this beautiful ass swimsuit tight dashiki, right?
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that picture.
Yeah, see that picture.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
Got to give her credit. But he's now saying this woman looks at me as a human being. So it's almost kind of like, so what are you saying? Your four wives ain't doing that?
He on the All Lives Matter now?
Oh my! It's almost kind. It's very shaky, and says I should be able to love, or I'm supposed to be able to embrace those who embrace me. And you know what? When Negroes kick that, and you shoot them down, and then you turn around and have gotten the light, and now you want to sit there and try to switch it up, it's confusing to a lot of people.
Okay, so like I said, I don't even claim to be overly familiar with this brother. So, but I do know I have seen some of his stuff, and he was questioned on his stance on saying that white people are the devil.
Yeah.
Like, so he was in a particular interview, he was pressed on that. So that, you know, and he was saying that where he was from originally, the face of oppression is white people. Yeah. And this is something too is because some people of other nationalities and stuff don't quite get that. So if you're black in America, if you get in trouble in school, the teacher you have is more likely than not white. The principal they send you to is more likely than not white. The cop that arrests you is probably white. The prosecuting attorney is probably white. The judge you get is white. Your probation officer is white. Like in the United States of America, your boss is probably white. Yep. So the face of your oppressor, the person who can always tell you what to do or discipline you is white. So if you take the stance of if you're saying white in that respect is not is all encompassing, you're white. Because why I say that is because he was saying when he went to travel around the world and he got to get out and experience other cultures and in other countries, he would say people that he associated with white, he would find out to them they're like, I'm not white. So he was saying like I'm somewhere and he was like, oh, this white person. They're like, I'm not white. I'm Albanian. I'm not white. I'm this. He said, well, where I'm from, all of this is white. Yeah. So he was addressing that some of his previous stuff, he had one way of thinking. And as he got to travel more and see other experiences, maybe even similar to what Malcolm was like, how he viewed white people in Islam until he went to Mecca and saw that there were white Muslims and Asian Muslims and all that. So I don't know how much of this is a degree of new information. You know, new information changes situations to where he's got a different perspective because he's had some new life experience. I said, I don't know the brother. I'm not overly familiar with him. But I would say if his platform was based on white folks are the devil and everything falls under white people that he was using before, and now he's on some she loves me for me, and people should be able to love who they love and click with who they click with, I get the roasting. Yeah. Like, I get why folks are coming at him with both barrels because they will be seen as a hypocrite. But how much of that is him being a hypocrite versus him in some ways evolving, and that the fault falls on the people who just follow the words that come out of somebody's mouth and just run with it?
I look at it like this. I can't knock none of these brothers with their, banana in their tailpipe hustle. I don't knock any of them. If you can get a few people that buy in and cash out, then that's you. I think that what I have an issue with, and the problem is more or less the people that buy in.
Okay.
We've always had an issue with idol worship. We've always had it. It's the same thing, and I always go back to the LeBron James example. Why? Because it shows you the center and the face of America about how prejudice is, how racist it is, how black men cannot stand for themselves and do things without white man permission. Okay. When LeBron decided to say, hey, I'm taking my talents to South Beach, he was vilified and he was a villain. And you still to this day have people saying, well, that was one thing that is probably on LeBron James' record as the way he did it. Well, the way he did what? I mean, did they ask Jimmy Butler if he wanted to get traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
No,
Here's this young lion that is the anchor of the franchise for Chicago. Let's just trade him to Minnesota for a bunch of bumps. So in saying that, we always get upset at the individual that duped us, but not upset at ourselves
for getting
that
duped.
didn't get duped. Like, we should have never bought the Kool-Aid anyway. My whole thing is, I appreciate all these brothers because all these brothers have given us insight. I love it. So I take the information that they give, and I know myself because I'm in the game as well as giving information and teaching our people and empowering. I do not buy in to these Negroes because I don't know not one person that is perfect walking this face of the earth.
Yeah.
And I do understand that money is going to change you for the better or for the worse. And with certain individuals, if you've never had it, if you've never even had the opportunity to even sit in the lap of luxury of dealing with the so-called Beckys, I, fortunately, at a younger age, did it. So I'm done with it. I've already had my good run. Right, I've had my good runs of my Beckys, and to be honest with me, see, my boys were probably the original Becky Slayers, if you want to call it like that, right? Yeah. Living in Marin County for the time that I was, we was like, that was unheard of, black males running around with all these white women, you know? Yeah. So we were ahead of our time. So we fall into these traps on a daily, on a regular, buying into things we don't know. Because it sounds good, it looks good, and these intellectual hustlers come around and paint this picture, creating you to go run out and do everything they say, pay up, and then they do half of what they tell you, and then at the same time, they keep on asking you to give, and then I ask, what are you getting back? All you're getting is information. Okay. Most of these Negroes I know haven't gone to the cities that they've gone to and established any business from what I know.
So let's slide it on. Let's remove from the intellectual hustlers. So just the idea of following rhetoric, trends, following personas, following narratives. Because so we have, quote unquote conscious community brothers. We have the intellectual circles, the Christian factors, the religious folks. But we have a history of just following behind popularity.
Now here's the one thing, exactly what you're about to say, and the biggest example of that currently is Donald Trump.
Okay, so let's run with that because there's a couple things we want to get into, also when we're in this show. So Donald Trump, Donnie T,
number 45, the pussy grabber.
So a guy who is notoriously the king of spin. Guy who stays in the forefront for the last, 60 years.
Can I say something to you?
Yeah.
You're fired.
Yeah. Well, he's got a homie who they've done a lot of business together over the last, like I said, 40 years, made millions and millions of dollars together, who's campaigning for him right now is one Mr. Don King. So,
yeah.
And so Don King is out there campaigning right now saying that Trump knows what it's like to be a black man. That Trump is learning now that he knows what it's like to be a black man in America. And so that should sound crazy to everybody. But Don King is somebody who's known for taking information and creating narratives, painting pictures. He was, all the way back to Ali, what he was doing back in that era of fighters, all the way through the Tyson era, creating, big productions. Don King and Donald Trump have been friends forever. They made each other a lot of money in all those boxing events, the Trump Towers, all, for decades and decades. And he is somebody who has continuously got us on board with his rhetoric, though we know Don King's a crook. Like we you know what I'm saying? Like we know he's shady. It always been shady. The whole, what was it? Pernell Whitaker got hung out the window on some Suge Knight stuff.
Damn.
Like, I mean, we he is notorious.
See what he did to Mike Tyson.
Yeah, what he did to Ali too. He's known for Larry Holmes. Like, he's known for just being a shady dude. And so we get hung up on these popularity things, and keeping it with boxing is kind of looking at Floyd Mayweather. So, guys that we get behind, guys that we turn on, like we just get, maybe the question is that what is it about us? Because I'm not putting it on the guy. I'm not putting it on the guy who's popular. I'm not putting it on the guy who's slick with his words, or who maybe he's good looking, whatever. What is it about us or that's going to shake us out of just falling behind people? Because like we got Floyd Mayweather who's getting ready to fight Conor McGregor, guy who's out there throwing racist tones and turns, whatever. It's to the point to where now Mayweather is the hero in this story.
I don't know.
Well, no, amongst black people too, because of all the because of all the racial things that McGregor is saying. So we're now shifting to a point where black people are more supporting Mayweather now than we have in years. And this is a dude, a convicted woman beater, dude who has just crapped on his people time and time again. You know,
took pictures of Donald Trump.
Yeah, we just keep getting. But what is it that's going to get us out of the sheep mentality?
We are definitely sheep in so many different levels, and I think that what's going to get us out of that is the ability to see that we can do it ourselves.
Okay.
That we can do certain things that these people are doing. When I look at individuals who preach whatever they preach, I sometimes say to myself, well, how can I benefit my people? When I created my youth-to-youth program for Voice of the Youth, I took some money that I already earned, right, and invested, and said, you know what, I'm going to invest in my young people and get 7 young people and put them to work this whole summer, right? That's some of the money I could have kept for myself, but I said, yo, if I'm going to preach this black empowerment, youth empowerment, let me put my money where my mouth is and let me get these kids jobs. I'm going to actually go to programs that I know need youth to work, or create a program that I can have youth working and say, here, you'll be placed, and give them money, right?
Okay.
So some of that stuff is us having that self-empowerment to say, you know what, hey, good. Or even the sense of like, this is just pure entertainment. I'm not buying into the whole gimmick.
Yeah.
Now, going on the whole Floyd thing, what I think is so funny is that this just shows you where we're at in America. Where is Conor McGregor from?
Ireland.
Where is Floyd Mayweather from?
Here, I'm not sure where
he's from America, right?
Yeah.
It's America. So if it was Floyd Mayweather white, Conor McGregor white, wouldn't there be the American chance? I mean,
USA versus Ireland, would be.
Wasn't it usually?
It looked like Rocky IV.
Exactly, right? But the Conor McGregor thing is so hilarious that when a white person has this bravado and this mystique and this swag, it's celebrated. When the black person has it, they're cocky, they're arrogant, right? Because this is the same blueprint that Floyd Mayweather had that Conor took that white people love.
Yeah.
And in the same sense, their white darling, the girl that's been knocked out, the great white hope that they were putting up on a pedestal, they even allowed her to say, what's her name again?
Rousey,
that they even allowed for her to speak as if she had a chance to beating Floyd Mayweather for, like literally they was making a issue or a conversation. And it was like, are you freaking kidding me right now? It just shows you how we are pulled in by media creations, right?
Yeah.
By the constant verbiage, or as long as something is constantly advertised in your face and someone is sharing it, we buy in all the time when we don't use our mind to look at it as it is supposed to be. Where you have a Conor who now can get away with being a little pig, and then you look at Floyd, and we're still going to talk about the things that he's done, that he's went and got convicted of, right? But my thing is, bottom line, overall, don't buy into any of these characters that they present. It's okay to be a fan in a sense, but don't be so fanatic to where you are just like, Floyd Mayweather can't do any good, no wrong. Conor McGregor can't do any wrong. Like, no, yo.
And your whole world is shattered.
And then your whole world is shattered when you see like OJ in the white pickup truck driving on the highway.
Slow roll in the Bronco.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the piece of like, get off of the worshiping, idolizing, and the fanboy shit. Pick your big boy pants up and look at it for what it is. And for those people that know they have these followers and these people that are worshiping them, you have to also be up for some critiquing when people have questions. Don't see it as, well, no, you don't. Nah, we just asking you a simple question. But I don't believe in the ambushing. But the hell, I don't believe in idol worshiping as well.
Because I think that when we get these impressions of people, when we grow up, and like I said, sometimes it may be dad in the house, it may be the teacher, the coach, it may be the stars on TV, or the guy or the woman who plays for the team that we watch every Saturday or Sunday, that these images that we get of people, that we have to understand that they're people, that they're human beings, that they're men and women, that they're capable of faults and foibles, that they're not going to walk the perfect straight and narrow every single day of their life, and that just because it's the person that they present, that doesn't mean that that's the only person that's present within them. And so that we have to make sure that we can make those lines of delineation and separate those types of things and look at people for who they are. And so when we notice these things about them, and when we notice that maybe there's some things that are inconsistent, that it's okay to address them, it's okay to acknowledge them, and it is okay to, say something about them.
Say something.
Jermaine Morris here with Barry Accius. Where can folks find you online?
Barry Accius Facebook, Barry Accius Twitter, and of course at Instagram and blackblueprintswithaz.com. Man, I've been waiting for your blogs, bro. Like, when you gonna send something over?
I told you, man. We'll get there. We'll get there. Jermaine Morris on Facebook. It is at JMorrisCEO, every other social media platform. I'm Jermaine Morris. This is Barry Accius.
Yes, sir.
Say Something Podcast. And until next show,
tune in, Mark.
We will holler at you later.